I pledge allegiance to the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. The purpose of this public hearing tonight is to update everybody on our and discuss drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater projects from Bullock Engineering. I guess it'll be all on you.
Off we go. Thank you. My name is Mark. This is Angie, our funding specialist. A guy named Shannon Sweeney from a municipal financial advisor group is going to be coming tonight. I would assume at least by 7 o'clock. So this is a public hearing that's required to take place when you access funds from Minnesota PFA. We also have language buried in here that has to do with USDA rural development in small cities. Good Thunder is not touching those funding sources right now, but we include the language in our public hearing just in case something changes. Then you're just kind of covered. It's just something. So you'll see that in here.
All right.
No, all good. A lot of this stuff is overview, just you're so familiar with it, but it's part of the public hearing. So I might cruise through it a little faster than we did the last time. Slow me down if you want to spend more time on it. Otherwise, we can talk about, project updates or any other things that need discussion. Hopefully Shannon is here before too long. Otherwise, let's get the public hearing done and closed. So the contents of this presentation: remaining needs, alternatives considered, recommended alternative, potential project costs, funding sources, and proposed project schedule. Planning area. This is where we are in the world. This is really more just something that needs to be in the minutes in case one of the funding sources want to look at what we presented. Obviously, we all know where we are. Water treatment plant and wells is obviously the big one for Good Thunder. Well one, originally drilled in the 1920s or 30s. It's inside the little building on the north side of the well house there. Tried to recondition it, 1997, low gallons per minute. The newer well just north of the tower is in good condition. The water treatment plant is very old and the equipment is pretty deteriorated and everyone's holding it together nice, but obviously it's been the city's goal for quite a few years to make a plan to replace it, which is what we're in the middle of doing. Electrical controls, the building's old, and we're pursuing PFA funding to replace that. Existing and proposed drinking water distribution system. The darker blue are the, newer PVC mains. The red ones are cast iron. The pink is the area that is the project area for replacement, extension, and upsizing. Be getting rid of the dead ends here. All these proposed mains would be 8-inch diameter. And again, this is going after that PFA funding.
Be 8-inch, not 6.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were just
6 is minimum.
6, but
6 is minimum.
well, yeah, because we got that 4-inch stuff that's
Right.
problem child.
Yep. If you want us to look at making some of it 6 inches, we can.
Well, I didn't. What does the state require?
It's got to at least be 6
Okay.
because you're a little bit bigger town. it might be nice to have just with trying to kind of connect this area with the system over here. Sometimes, it'd be nice to have this 8 and similarly down here. And then with the new water plant being here, it would be nice for this to be 8.
Yeah,
And so it's kind of like, well, this is kind of an artery and this is kind of an artery. And I suppose we could probably get cute and make this 6, but it doesn't really save you much money and it leaves optionality for this area, if that kind of.
the cost probably isn't a couple bucks a foot, is it?
If you're buying a stack of pipe, it's probably $3 or $4 a foot more.
Okay,
But the installation is same. Maybe the fittings and the saddles for 1 inches are a little bit more, but it's, money's money, but it's kind of that, the amount of extra money you have versus like the risk of having it undersized, to me feels like a good choice, but.
well, like you say, that running that south there, all the way down there, if that is ever developed out in there with houses or whatever,
Right.
you'd have a lot more adequate water to head it out that way.
Yeah,
Cause you're gonna be what, over a half a mile away from the water tower,
right.
Right.
It's good not to overdo diameters because, the bigger you get, the slower the water goes. But you're gonna have enough usage to keep it moving through an 8, so. Yeah. All right, lead service lines. On the city's behalf, we applied for funding to replace all the red dots. 6, 1, 2, 6.
8 of them, isn't there?
I'm counting.
I believe there was 8. That's what Eli said. I thought there was 8 of them.
But they added a couple.
That's what it is. Yeah, this is.
Was it there 1 or 2 that they added?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, him and Brian were in the shop one day going over all that.
Yeah, I took a snippet of the addresses and I think this was from an older list, but I remember that now because Brady with our office was talking with Eli quite a bit. Anyway, we applied for grants to get those replaced. That's 100% grant. So that's on the PPL and we'll be moving that forward just like your water plant project to get those replaced. Actual construction possibly later this fall, but probably 2027.
So when you replace it, is that from the main to the water shut off? And wonder if that house has lead from the shut off to the house. Is that part of it or is that the property owners?
This would be from the house to the shut off. I don't know that, I can't remember if these are led all the way out to the street or not. I can't.
Sue had one that
Can't
got
remember.
fixed here.
Yeah,
years-
mine isn't
Was
on
it?
there. Yeah.
But yeah, okay, that's right. Maybe it is just from the house to the shut off.
I think that's the
Yeah.
plan for these.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we spent a lot of money to have our water meters put in, it took $100,000, I believe, and that guy was supposed to check all this.
yep,
And he came up with 2. Now we have 8.
yeah.
That just didn't quite work right.
No.
Very good job checking.
Pretty easy to find out lead pipe.
Lead, yeah.
How old are the meters?
Just put them in a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I'd say be 2 years of summer.
Probably 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of too bad. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, they thought they had 2, but we come up with a lot more now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you go through the protocol, it shouldn't be rocket science. And yeah, and I don't know if it's a scratch and then it's a magnet. I can't remember all the steps, but it's not.
Good sharp pocket knife would tell you real quick.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, that's moving along too.
Who notifies all those property owners and tells them that that'll be coming free to you, the property owner, right? If it's grants,
Yeah,
it'll be all paid for by the grants or by the whoever.
There's
The
left,
city would get the money, right? Distribute it to that? Or is that a whole separate item?
you know, the way the lead service line inventory the way the inventory worked was that the Department of Health paid the people who were doing it,
Okay,
which in with a lot of our other towns was just us, our staff. So the money didn't even go through the city.
okay.
It went from the state to whoever was doing it.
All
So
right.
I don't know if Good Thunder, if you did it yourselves, if you got any money from the state for doing that or how that all
Mm-mm.
worked. I don't remember. So. There is another. I don't see any unknowns like with your system. If you had any, there, it sounds like there's gonna be, oh, very good. It sounds like there's gonna be, another little bit of money coming for if we need to get like the vac jet truck out and
Okay, yeah.
vac down and actually see what it is because there's something goofy in the basement or there's no records or anything like that, but I'm not seeing any for Good Thunder.
So when that comes to that point, that'll be jackhammered through the floor of the basement, however it comes into the house and totally replaced from the meter out to the water shut off.
Yep, it comes into the house.
And the cement will be replaced as
Yeah.
is.
Yep. They can actually, their directional drill machine with their sond or their wand or whatever different names for it, they're pretty accurate.
Okay,
They can bring it they can aim it pretty well and chop a hole in the floor,
Yep.
you know, get the wet, get the concrete saw out and
yep.
hopefully you don't make too big a mess down in the basement, but yeah, it's usually not too awful. It's chopping a hole in the floor, but it's not like this.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah. Existing and proposed sanitary sewer. If you recall the conversations from last winter about, being eligible for PFA through the water side. The sanitary sewer and whatnot was not signed up for that PFA money at that time, so part of the whole plan from last December, January to now was to get this on the PPL as well, so that can qualify for PFA funding, just like the water side of it. And so that money will catch up to the water main side this next spring, if you will. So we sent in the application this end of February, early March. That'll get scored and that'll get moved onto the IUP, just like your water plant project and water main project for South Halliday got moved onto the IUP. And this will score high enough it'll score high enough. Remember, those scores were a big deal with the plant and they dipped down to 7 and then that qualified your in the sanitary sewer world. It's the scoring is different, but you want to at least be 40 and you'll have no trouble getting 40 points. The big things for sewer is it more than 20 years old, and do your wastewater numbers at the plant show above a level for like inflow and infiltration I, which you have, which just about every town has. And so you'll qualify for that. But then, the pink is just the area that we've been talking about, forever. That's the project area. Existing proposed storm sewer. So the pink is the proposed storm sewer. Again, installing pipe. Currently there's culverts and whatnot here. This is kind of the main discharge. There's a culvert under Hiller Drive, kind of right. I don't know, if you're driving this way, it's 20 or 30 feet into this kind of tree line, you can kind of see the culvert under the road there, but it would be to install pipe and catch basins here, and then from here to here, and then this pipe getting replaced and just outletting where you can kind of see that galvanized pipe sticking out of the ground right here to be in a similar spot. And then there's really not a need to replace this culvert under Hiller Drive. So,
Unless it's not big enough
well, unless it's not big enough,
in diameter.
unless it's not big enough in diameter. I don't really know. I don't know that it wouldn't be big enough the way it is, so.
That's the one that's running along the east edge of the ballpark, right?
There's one that runs this direction just under Hiller Drive.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's all along the east edge of the ballpark down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct, yeah. Mhm.
Our biggest problem is on the north side of Chapel Street.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Like old railroad area or,
Corner.
yeah, it isn't big enough under the road. So there's a hole that blew out the tile, the plastic tile now.
Yeah.
And it can't handle it going under the road. And that tile there running down, like Paul says, in a big rain event, it's running above the ground.
Yeah.
All the way down because there's too much, because it's draining all this property out here, coming right down past here,
yeah,
and then it goes south.
Yeah.
So,
It actually runs over the road.
yeah, it runs over, has it ever ran over Hiller's Drive?
Yes.
Like in the ballpark area where that drain is.
Correct.
But not where that tile is. Right. So there's a yellow standpipe in the ballpark area.
yeah,
And all that watershed from the ballpark hills all goes and concentrates right there. That has ran over the road there a few times. So some of that might have to be upgraded there.
I think it might be good is for us and Eli and you and whoever to meet and just look over like the detailed design, because we're at a point with the design where there's been quite a bit of work done on pipe sizing and looking at the drainage areas and this and that, and there's gonna be curb along Halliday. But we're not, it's not finalized. That is to say, it's easy enough to change. I think it might be just a good time to just kind of sit down and look at the specifics. And
show you
I'm
where the
happy to talk about stuff now, but it's hard
visualize.
it's hard to visualize it without looking at there's gonna be a drain here and
We could show you the problem area
yeah.
in
yeah.
person.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to comprehend.
And maybe I think so. Maybe I could just make a big print out of this area and then it's just kind of one big sheet.
Yeah.
Sometimes like this culvert under here, I'll just make a little. Sometimes we don't like to mess or alter existing drainage patterns. I know like those more prominent culverts under roads and along bigger drainage ways. When you start changing the diameter, changing like the elevation, you're either making upstream person mad or downstream person mad by making any kind of a change. And I don't know that there's a need to make a change, but I'll just say like, if we're happy to look at it, I think now is the time, so why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Set up a time to do maybe just an informal workshop or whatever.
Just a visual,
Yeah,
down there and look at it.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Have the plans.
That'd be a good idea.
Would it work if I sent Eli an email with some date and time ranges, like maybe three dates and time ranges, like this day, and this day from 9 to noon. You guys pick what, or something like that, or?
Yeah,
Okay. Does this need to be like an advertised meeting forum, or can it just be 1 to 2?
just to,
Like if, you know, if you know what I'm getting at, like if 1 or 2 of y'all want to be there,
yeah,
but then if 3 or 4 of you want to be there,
yeah, no.
then you know how that goes. So you just let me know what you
Yeah.
want to do, or so. Yeah, great.
How does that work when, well, that water's naturally going that way because along that road going to the trestle, that's township property, right?
Correct.
How, waterways, who owns waterways?
Well,
Is a waterway the townships or is it a natural waterway and it is ungoverned?
It's not ungoverned.
yeah,
I have a couple of questions for you as well, Mark.
sure.
One of them is if you had reached out to Soil and Water District in Mankato.
I have not, but I need to check with the drainage, the guy at our office who designed the drainage.
Because we do definitely, on your behalf and our behalf, we need to check with the Soil and Water District out of Mankato.
Okay.
Because that goes back to your question. As far as, is it just a creek? Or is it more than a creek? Eventually it dumps into the Maple River,
Yeah,
as we all know it will eventually.
Right.
But our concern is, as township board members, is how it will affect the road. First of all. And second of all, is the old cement box culvert that's to the south of there, that's 100+ years old.
Mhm.
How will the city's discharge water be affected by the diameter and size of that concrete culvert?
well, we aren't putting any more water there than what there's there already.
You're coming off a hard surface.
You mean on the street?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got what, maybe 500 feet of street that could possibly drain south and get into a pipe underground
You,
on Holiday Street?
I guess to simplify it, the project's gonna create a very small amount of like additional impervious surface. It is going into a pipe. But
Right, but it,
kind of the governing, I guess, kind of like the governing. One of the main things like limiting, restricting, governing the amount of cubic feet per second is this culvert here,
yeah,
which is currently not planned to be replaced. So I don't really know.
that one, I've never seen it overflow. The other one in the ballpark, that one it overflows and over the road.
Okay,
So that's already been done, you know. We asked the county if they wanted to get involved on that farthest east pink line
mhm,
because it drains all this property out here, you know? And they wanted to plan for the 100-year flood. You know, well, all you simply want to do is probably put a little bigger tile in there to keep it
Yeah.
underground, you know?
that'd be a huge pipe for 100-year flood. Right? I mean, it would be some enormous pipe, I think, right? Is that-
Well,
Yeah.
my thoughts on that 100-year flood are, you know, you're really pulling for strings there or something.
I know that somebody is involved further up and they've been involved in some stuff up there.
My concern also is the age of that culvert going under Hiller Drive.
Mhm.
It's been there as long as I can tell you. I mean,
Right.
it's corrugated steel culvert.
Mhm. Mhm.
What kind of condition is it? I think that's something that should be checked into prior to saying, we're just gonna leave it as is.
Sure.
You know, I really think it's important due to the age of that corrugated steel. What kind of condition is it in?
Does the township own that culvert?
Well, it should be the city street. It's
Yeah,
Drive. So it should probably, well,
right. Yeah, I mean,
is that in conjunction with Blue Earth County and everybody? Because it's draining all this farmland out here?
I guess I'm curious, what is your particular interest in this culvert?
My interest is that as it comes out of that culvert, it doesn't damage the road or damage that box culvert to the south
Okay,
because of the volume.
sure.
I've asked you, Mark, in the past, the amount of, volume of water and, that's the unknown.
Yeah,
So I don't, it'd be great if you had a number with the increase of water.
well, I can tell you that our design follows the state and federal guidelines
Mhm.
of, what.
And you're saying it's a minute amount that it's supposedly gonna increase going.
Yeah, so like to give you an example, like per regulation, in order to trigger the need for like a stormwater retention pond, you need to create at least 1 acre of new pavement. And that's the starting point. And this whole project creates like 0.35 acres is it. So it's just not, now you can say, well, 0.35 acres is 0.35 acres.
It's not any less, and it won't come any slower, right? Cause there is no pond, is there a pond or is there not?
No, there's not a pond.
So everything you're doing is gonna make, it won't be any less water coming, and it won't come any slower.
It's gonna come a little differently because this water here is gonna go around. Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a drainage upgrade that made water drain slower, right? So it's gonna be more, and it's gonna be as faster, and we're concerned about how it can already take the amount of water, much
Sure.
less, doesn't matter how much more, it is more.
I guess the best answer I can give is we're giving the design the due process that is required by, like, it's a pretty standard process, with NPC regulations and NPDS regulations. And I mean, we can get into the details when we meet. I can give you those dates and times, but I don't have like cubic feet per second numbers right here, or X thousand gallons of water over such and such kind of storm here. Yeah.
How does that work on agricultural land if somebody goes out here and tiles 160 acres? How much flow comes from that?
Once again, it depends upon the diameter of the tile.
Well, I mean, it's standard 4-inch tile when you tile a field, right?
There you go.
And if you put in 10,000 feet and the discharge, is it above ground or does it go right to the creek?
It goes right to a creek,
Right underground, right to the creek.
underground.
So do you need to know all that flows when a farmer does that too?
Yes, because you need to know the size of your discharge mains going into your creek.
But would you say that 80 or 160 acres would contribute a lot more than 2.5 acres?
Well, of course it would.
Yeah. So I think the city's portion of this is very minimal, or as far as contributing to that creek. That big cement culvert down there, that's what, 4x4 or 5x5 underground?
I would say it's 5x5.
Yeah, and that's been there, like Paul says, for 100 years. So I mean, it isn't going anywhere. That abutments are all pretty good shape.
I believe so, but it's still a concern and a cost to the township.
Yeah. And I guess, if it was seen that the city was gonna contribute that much more water, we could maybe go rip-raff it down there by the abutments of it.
Sure.
Our portion to make it better,
Yep.
just pull it out, rip-raff to that abutment.
Right.
The only concern I have, Robert, is it's already maxed out to the west where the water comes into it. On the west side,
Oh, yeah,
it's maxed.
yeah.
So when you say 0.35 acres coming into it, I understand that. But it's already maxed out. When we get a big rain, that culvert is maxed out. There's no more room for any more water. Matter of fact, it maxes out so bad, it backs up into a gentleman's yard. And
And that's
that's what
from
happened.
the creek.
That is from the creek.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I would say if you had to look at that, the city's portion would be what, 1/3 of what that tile would take compared to what comes through your property on that creek and floods that backyard?
Yeah.
You know, it's probably 1/3 to 2/3, because like he says, it will back up in those people's, and that creek drains how many acres?
Well, it drains 150,000 acres to the west and south.
So,
Yeah,
It starts out as a county ditch. And it goes under County Road 1 and it's all private until it gets to the Maple
Sure.
River.
sure.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the township has that box culvert there that is 100+ years old, I would guess. And we can't find any information on it as far as the age of it.
so it's been there for forever.
That's how you know it's an old one. When there's,
Because it's still
when
there.
there's not a bridge report somewhere or,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, and those ones, you know, anytime they're less than 6 feet by 6 feet, a lot of times they don't really have much information on it, you know. In some worlds, in
They
some
are
worlds,
written-
they don't, like the bridge crews don't inspect anything less than 8 or 10 feet or whatever they consider to be.
Yeah, that isn't part of Blue Earth County. That isn't ever logged in as for Blue Earth County. You know, some of these you'll go by and you'll see and it'll say BR whatever on there when you cross over a culvert. But that one has no listing at all.
Mark, you weren't able to find anything on that either, were you?
No,
No, I think we talked about this.
in terms of, is it a county ditch, or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's not numbered.
No, our drainage guy looked and didn't see anything, but we can, you know, we could check with Soil and Water, like you said, and see what they have to say about it. And maybe a good thing to do is whatever time we settle, whatever day and time we settle on, maybe we can see if they can phone in and you know,
Or come out as well.
or come out. Yeah, I mean, I'll take any input I can get. Sometimes
Right.
sometimes it's hard to get people to come out, but you know, you can get them to talk on the phone.
For all we know, the county may not even know that water goes that way.
What's that?
The county might not even know
Oh,
that amount of water.
Oh, they know.
I think the county knows.
So if it ever created a problem, what would ever? It's a creek on the west side of that gravel township road.
Mhm.
What would ever happen if you crossed that road and you ran it underground in the ditch right away on the east side of that box culvert? That would eliminate all the problem. It would eliminate,
Some of
you
the,
know, and maybe you could get the county involved in that because of that box culvert being overloaded. And this county tile that runs through here now, you could present that to them and say, hey, you know,
Mhm.
we need to upgrade.
Yeah, we're handling.
And would you put it in the ground or would you just run it in the ditch along the east side versus the west side? Of course, it would probably be cut down 4 feet probably to get it to full
Yeah.
on that east side of that gravel road,
Ideally would be
underground.
underground.
Yeah.
And the township wouldn't have an issue with it being in the right of way.
You know, and again, it would be a portion of the county because of all the land is draining out of here.
right,
And it's draining the water off this county road all the way out here now,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So maybe that's something a guy will have to look into, that the township has expressed concern. And since it's a county tile, maybe the county needs to be involved in digging a new one in.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, whatever county pipe is moving through the city, ideally, there's not really cross connections and city streets connecting to county tile and shared tile, and unless it's a big cost savings to go together, just because it creates such a nightmare of future responsibility and who's responsible for what. But I'm working through this in another town in Redwood County where they've got a 24-inch concrete tile installed in 1913, and it wiggles through town, you know, through the low area. And city streets are hooked up to it, and so the city's using it, and there's no cooperative agreement for that pipe that says who's responsible for maintenance, who's responsible for replacing it, because it was just so long ago. And now it's this nightmare of who wants to pay for this, you know, a 24-inch diameter concrete pipe might be $120 to $200 a foot to replace it. Well, guess who wants to pay for that? You know, it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, not it, you know, and everyone goes, it's yours. No, it's yours. And everybody knows that it's carrying farmland drainage, but then the fact the city's hooked up to it kind of makes the county go, well, you're sure using it a lot. And, you know, you'd be, you know, if you had to have your own pipe, you'd really have to spend a lot of money there too. And so it's kind of a mess, but I will mention that to them, because if there's a desire to, you know, if there's a desire for, I guess, this portion to be a county tile or something like that.
Is there any funds available to
Oh, golly,
grade to take away erosion possibilities?
grant funding for like drainage pipe is a lot harder to come by than it is for like water main, sanitary sewer. Shannon, Angie, is that a fair generalization? Or does it depend on what programs you're working with, or?
I think it depends. I work with some watershed organizations in western Minnesota that are generally bringing fair chunks of money, but it's watershed district projects,
Okay,
but ultimately a lot of times it's county ditches. It's part of a drainage system like that. There seems to be some opportunity.
other than the fact that this proposed pipe replacement is part of your current project, other than that, I would say this discussion is these two discussions are sort of separate things. Is kind of my take on it. But I think I should set up some dates and times for Eli, Paul, whoever from the council, and to talk about the design and get Blue Earth Soil and Water on that as well. So, but
Would it ever benefit the township by putting that? But you wouldn't need that creek on the west side if we ran it on the east side, right? Would the township ever get involved in being partners with putting it underground versus on top?
I don't know how. If it all went to the east on the other side of the road, like you're saying, I don't know how the township would benefit then, other than,
Saving your box culvert
yeah,
and not backing up into people's yards.
that would probably be the most ideal route for the water.
Yeah.
To free up the diameter and the size of the volume of the water that box culvert can take.
I don't know, some ideas, I don't
Yeah.
know, figure it out.
I
On the left
I
side of the road,
have to be
in reality.
I have to be a little careful when we start talk. I can send out these dates and times and we can definitely do this meeting, but I have to be a little bit careful myself because the city has authorized me to do this project.
Yeah, yeah.
And the city has not told me
About any.
to spend time down here, and that is the city's money. So I have to be careful. That doesn't mean I can't say 3 words about it. It's not that ticky tacky, but it is a separate thing. So now we could talk about cubic feet per second and how many how many acres of impervious and rates of flow and stuff, and as it relates to here, but I just have to kind of, I guess, remind the group that.
Well, this is all good things that we all need to know.
Like I told Paul last February and Eli, I'm really happy that I'm hearing about this now and not 18 months from now when there's a backhoe swinging, ready to put something in, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
it's so hard to fix things. It just so sometimes these drainage this is a normal drainage conversation, and that there's a little bit of tension and anxiety between all the, or a little bit of how, what's a problem and what's not, and so that's normal, but now's the time to talk about it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Anyway. Potential project costs. Drinking water source and treatment, that's the new well in the plant. 7.5 million. Drinking water distribution, 1.15 million. The sanitary and storm sewer, 2.15 million. That's kind of you guys peek at that. So, and then the timeline. Excuse me, project funding. Minnesota Department of, it's DEED, small cities. This has some information related to that. Are there community housing needs? Compliance with historic requirements, review past performance of BOLIG staff. In terms of their ability to do these projects, we do them all the time. This slide doesn't really apply because there's no small cities money on this project, but we're including it in the presentation just to cover the city. Other project funding, USDA rural development and the associated components of that, which again, this project is not using rural development money. But we have it here just in case. And then Minnesota PFA is the big one this project is using. Project schedule. This is not set in stone, especially as we get down to the bottom two, but we're nearing the end of the plans and specs, especially for the water treatment plant. Getting permits would kind of be the next step. Advertising for bids could be this fall, November. Awarding the contract, again, kind of end of 2026. And then project completion, we have on here, it's 1.5 years, and that's a long time, but that's kind of intentional. What we've seen happen is some of the equipment for water treatment plants, particularly the transfer switch for the generator, will be like really far out to actually obtain that equipment. So when you do your bids and you got your low bidder and you do all the financing stuff after that, and then you award the bid, and then they start sending in their submittals and purchasing the equipment that's needed. They have to kind of find out how far out it is. And they can't build the project or finish the project until they have all the equipment they need. I don't know if anyone's familiar with different elementary school, high school building projects. Sometimes those get held up because of air handler units or HVAC things and stuff like that sometimes too. So that is the end of my formal presentation. This was something that needed to be done, this public hearing, because of the PFA funding. So I don't know if there's any other like public hearing comments related to this. That's kind of, you can close it and we can We can close it, keep discussing. That's really you as the presiding officer's decision or that works. So.
One question here, I know it's a little late, but is our water tower adequate yet for the size of our town?
Yeah, I think so. And that goes back, the good work that I guess Brian and Eli have done with those ultrasonic water meters and leak detection and bringing that max daily usage down where it used to be kind of the design guidance that Department of Health and other agencies go with is the size of your water tower should be at least the volume of your average daily use. So if you add up all the water that you pump out of your wells in a year and divide it by 365, that's your average day. So if you have like a 55,000 gallon tower, if you were using 65,000 gallons per day average, it might be a little undersized, but you're seeing your usage, like it's coming down because you've been fixing those leaks. And those are only a year and a half old.
Yeah, it's about, I want to say, yeah, maybe 2 years this summer, probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
You all made the Rural Water Conference presentation on water meters and leak detection and how wonderful these iPearl water meters are and stuff like that, just so you know.
Huh.
So I took a picture of the slide. I'll send it to you later, but
It did save, I was kind of against it because we hired it done. It was $100,000 to
Yep.
install, and that was with the lead pipe.
yeah.
Now it's detected leaky water softeners, leaky toilets.
Okay.
And Eli can say, hey, you got a problem here.
Yep.
And it's fixed within a half a day.
Yep.
Where before that could have went on for a month.
Yeah.
And if
So
they
it's
were-
really, all in all, it's really done a
Well, good.
great job of conserving water.
Yeah.
But my original question about the water tower, would there ever be a need for Good Thunder to have a silo or extra capacity around? Especially if this would go away,
Mhm.
this would be a great area for a silo.
Sure.
I was just wondering if we're adequate or somewhere should be planned in for the future for a silo, and how do they work? Keep them
Sometimes-
freezing.
Okay. Yeah. Tank mixer first. They call it a tank mixer, and it just
Keeps moving?
it keeps it moving.
Okay.
And then sometimes what you'll see, at least what you used to see, is if they have a filter treatment plant.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a few. I don't like to say names of other towns in public meetings, but since you have a filter plant, those filters only run at so many gallons per minute. It's 150 or whatever. That's what this one is now. And sometimes what you used to see is they would have an elevated tower and then their filter plant and then a ground storage tank. And it would they would run their plant longer periods of time. And then they would shuttle, that water would go into the ground storage tank and then they could shuttle it up to the tower so that it was just a way to be able to produce more water without, I guess, make use of the GPMs that your plant can do while at the same time having more storage capacity. So your plant can just goes over the ground storage tank and you can pump it up as needed.
Okay.
I don't know what to say. I mean, your tower holds enough water for what you're using, at least now.
We're down to around 35 to 40 a day, maybe, right now.
For the average day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were up over 55,000, I believe, for a long, long time.
I remember you mentioned there was it a pallet making factory or a pellet?
Nothing here, no.
There was somebody that was thinking about coming in and building, but they were worried about.
Oh, yeah,
size of the
that
tower.
wasn't a pallet thing years ago.
That was a while ago, you
Yeah.
said, but I guess it's something we could look into, you know, usually when people don't have enough storage, they're screaming. It's not something they're wondering about. So,
Okay.
um,
Since we're talking about water, I just thought.
no, yeah. But I mean, I want to say that's 1913. You know, I mean, it's been well maintained, so, but in 20 or 30 years. I know that's a long time from now, but maybe you go to a 75,000 gallon hydrocone at that time or something like that.
But if you get it too big and you don't keep
Yeah.
blowing it, it'll freeze up in the wintertime. Then you have to have that recirculator in there.
Yeah, there's that, there's chloride residual and, you know, some of those things with keeping that water moving so it doesn't separate into higher chloride and lower chloride and, yeah.
Like Vernon Center, they upgraded their tower. They have one like this.
Yeah.
But they got that used going.
Oh, okay.
Do you think their system works pretty well?
Haven't looked at their system. That's a different engineer.
Okay. All right. That's all I had.
Good.
Anybody else? Questions? Go, anything? Anybody else? If not, somebody make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to cease the public hearing of tonight's event.
Someone second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed, motion carried. Okay, I call a regular meeting to order.
Hold on.
Whoop.